Okay, hi, my name is Kelani Nichole. I am a technologist and I make software. I'm also the founder of an experimental media art gallery called Transfer. I have been exploring decentralized networks and virtual worlds in contemporary art for more than a decade now. And I'm going to share with you some of my experiments in distributed networks of care. I've been thinking a lot about participatory preservation over the years. Before I get started, I just want to send a special thank you to Bonnie Mitchell, who really held my hand through this process. It's my first time presenting at an academic conference, and I'm so honored to share my work with you all. I really appreciate the work that you all do. So I just want to start sharing a little bit about Transfer. It was founded in Brooklyn in 2013 to show computer-based practices. And the conceit of the gallery was to think about solo exhibitions. So really working with one artist at a time, focusing on giving over the full space. The exhibitions really transform the space with every show. So it's less of a white cube, it's more of a holodeck. And first and foremost, we thought about exhibition and what it meant to use space and place to activate work, to bring new audiences together. We also thought a lot about architecture in the space. So, first and foremost, what does it mean to exhibit a work, to really move it away from the screen and put it in contact with the viewer? And how can we use new technologies to think about new ways of working? A lot of what started happening at Transfer was thinking about repositories and works and iterative work. So how could I show something that was sort of early on in the process, and sort of this hybrid design thinking methodology where it's okay to fail. That's what we do in technology. We test and learn and iterate. And how can we bring some of that and align that with the sort of custodial care long view thinking in the contemporary art world? So a lot of what was happening was about iteration. It was also talking about what it means to live with a work of art and how you can think about dwelling with time-based media work, what it means to really care for the work. So there was much experimentation in the gallery, also created new kinds of formats. And this is a case study, I think, which was really interesting, where I started to think about preservation in a different way. So this is the Transfer download. It's a traveling catalog of artwork. And essentially you come into this room and there's an iPad selector that allows you to choose from a huge list of works. So it allowed me to take a bunch of different formats, whether it was virtual reality, animated GIFs, generative art, and create one consistent presentation format. So the works maintained their diversity, their complexity, but the presentation had this sort of simplicity. It was a prompt to the artist to create sort of a derivation of their work and think about that as one of the many iterations of a work. So this also allowed me to do collaborations with institutions where I was going into new partnership relationships, into new contexts, and having these conversations about the varied formats of media art and sort of making that sort of depth of conservation cool. It was part of what was happening in the download, which led me to this experiment called The Current in 2018. To again continue to expand these conversations about different formats of media art and what it means to care for them and tend to them. So I'm sorry, my presentation seems to be a little frozen here. The way that this worked is we did these beautiful installations in a home-like environment so people could immediately start to envision what it might be like to live with a work of art. As you entered, you got a folia. You can see one here on the desk, and it's essentially all the information about what it will take to care for the work, to tend for the work, the costs, talking to conservators ahead of time, presenting all that information, and talking about, what the implications are to really bring on a work into a collection. You then got to receive a vote on the work. Am I out of time?
1 minute.
1 minute. Okay, thanks for the warning. And we also experimented with things like giving a preview copy, a sort of private exhibition copy. So instead of going to the museum came to you. And we also set a NAS drive in the homes of our members. And that kind of distributed stewardship was something that really took off, and it's an idea that I think has a lot of strength. So this is what I'm working on now. It's a transfer archive. Transfer's turning 10 years, so I'm focusing my energy on looking back, and I have this idea for a new peer-to-peer infrastructure. Came out of a lot of ideas based on this exhibition, piecesofme.online. If you'd like to see that, it's still online. And this is about bringing a new level of conservation and care into the space of blockchain technologies, and thinking about new ways to use Web3 to empower artists, employ solidarity model principles around creating a community of care from the studios, but also from the organizations and supporters that bring together work. So I'm just going to end my presentation with an invitation to you all. EAT was just mentioned previously. I'm now leading sort of a new salon series. It kicks off on June 21st. It's hybrid, virtual, and physical. And it's reflecting on sort of all of the history since EAT was founded through to today, and thinking about how institutions can come together and think about preservation across audiences, and getting more and more people excited about the history of media art, and tending to its future. So I will end there, and thank you all so much.